Hello everyone, welcome to day 4 of prelims warm-up where we are discussing the most important topics for UPSC prelims 2020. This has been brought to you by Aptiplus Academy for Civil Services and my name is Shayak Datta. I am a faculty at Aptiplus Academy for Civil Services. So let us start with our first question of the day. So in the first question, we will look at the second informal summit which took place between India and China. So the question is asking, consider the following statements with regards to the second informal summit between India and China and select the correct option. So the first statement is saying, so we have been given 4 statements, and the first statement is saying it took place at Mahabaleshwar, while the first informal summit had taken place in Beijing in April 2018. So the second informal summit between India and China, the first statement is saying that it took place in Mahabaleshwar, while the first informal summit it had taken place in Beijing in April 2018. The second statement is saying as part of this summit, so naturally when there is some summit, some decision will be taken, right? So as part of the decision which was taken during this summit, it has been decided that year 2020 will be called as the year of India-China cultural and people-to-people exchanges. So year 2020, it will be dedicated for cultural and people-to-people exchange between the people of India and the people of China. This is the second statement. The third statement is saying a declaration of Tamil Nadu and Beijing having sister state relationship. So this concept of sister states, also sometimes it is referred to as twin states or twin cities. For example, you may have heard of Hyderabad, Secunderabad, which are called as twin cities. So in this case, the thing is, as a part of this particular summit, it was decided that Tamil Nadu and Beijing, they have this sister state relationship from now on. This is the third statement. And the fourth statement is talking about Wuhan Spirit and Chennai Connect. These two, they are meant to increase the cooperation between the two countries so that they would not allow differences on any issue to become disputes. So there is a difference between difference and dispute, right? So as a part of the Wuhan Spirit as well as Chennai Connect, it was decided that if there are differences between India and China, those will be solved amicably on the basis of cooperation, discussion, negotiation. But they will not become, India and China will not allow these differences to become or turn into disputes. So which out of these statements are correct or is correct with regards to the second informal summit between India and China? Let us see one by one. First of all, so these are the options given: A, 2 and 4. 2 is saying year 2020 and it is 4 is talking about the increase in cooperation and differences not turning into disputes. This is 2 and 4. Option B is all of the above. Option C, 2, 3 and 4. And option D, 4 only. So let us see. First of all, let us examine the first statement. It took place at Mahabaleshwar. Now the thing is, if you have followed this particular event, then you would be aware it did not take place in Mahabaleshwar but rather at a place called as Mamalapuram. Mamalapuram is the other name for Mahabalipuram, which is present near Chennai. So the first statement, that is it took place at Mahabaleshwar, that is incorrect. Let us see. Location of the second informal summit, it took place at Mamalapuram, also called as Mahabalipuram, which is famous historical place. Whereas the location of the first summit had taken place at Wuhan in April 2018. So in the first statement, if you notice, it was mentioned at Mahabaleshwar and Beijing. So both the locations are incorrect because it should be Mamalapuram or Mahabalipuram. So whether UPSC gives it as Mamalapuram, then also it's correct, or if UPSC provides it as Mahabalipuram, then also it is correct. And the first summit, it did not take place in Beijing, rather it had taken place in Wuhan, and from there only came the concept of Wuhan Spirit, which talks about a spirit of cooperation, brotherhood, etc. Acha, second statement given, year 2020 will be called as the year of India-China cultural and people-to-people exchanges. That is correct. The third statement talks about the declaration of Tamil Nadu and Beijing having sister state relationship. That is incorrect, because as a part of the decisions which were taken, it was decided that Tamil Nadu and the Fujian province of China, they will be having this sister state relationship. So please remember, Tamil Nadu and Fujian province of China, they have the sister state relationship. But the question is, what is meant by this term sister state relationship? So here also I have given you some idea about sister states. Okay, it is like a social agreement between two geographically and politically separated towns and cities. So basically they should be separated geographically. Similarly, their administration should also be different. So they might be under different or they may be under different political parties. They may be in different countries altogether. For example, when we talk about Tamil Nadu and the Fujian province, we get to see that these two places are present in different countries. So it is a social agreement between geographically and politically separated towns and cities. Why? Main objective is to encourage cultural and commercial ties between the people of these different cities. Okay? So Tamil Nadu and Fujian province. Please remember that. And the fourth statement is actually correct. Ke Wuhan Spirit and Chennai Connect, they are meant to increase the cooperation between the two countries, because India and China, they have a lot of border disputes. With regards to Arunachal Pradesh, also we get to see China's backing of Pakistan, building of CPEC, and then also something called as a string of pearls. So there are so many points of differences between India and China, but they have decided that these will not turn into disputes. There may be differences which can be solved in a peaceful manner. So if you look at the given options, option A should be the correct answer, because 2 and 4 are correct. The others are not. So this is so far as the first question is concerned. Moving on to the second question. Second question is again with regards to a very important topic, and that is called as IBC, or the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016. So we get to see that it was in the news of late. Some modifications have been done this year. So let us just discuss a little bit regarding Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016. So let's first see the question which has been given. So again we get to see the question mentions a number of statements, and you have to choose the correct statements out of the given ones. So the first statement is that IBC, or the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, is applicable for companies and limited liability partnerships, or LLP partnerships, but cannot be used in case of individuals, right? So this is the first statement. Second statement, the entire process of this Insolvency Bankruptcy Code, whatever the process is, it has to be completed within 90 days in case of companies, but it can be extended by 30 days if majority of the creditors agree. You see what will happen, like why this code comes into the picture. It comes into the picture if, let's say, some banks and all, they have given loans to some company, but the company fails. In that case, the company, or let's say if a company becomes bankrupt, in that case what will happen? Naturally they won't be able to pay back the loan, right? So in that case, whatever are the assets, they will have to be liquidated in order to get money back. So this entire process, it has to be completed within 90 days, and if possible, actually what happens in this case is, if possible, the board of directors of the company, they will be replaced by a new set of people, and initially it will be tried to revive the company. If that doesn't work out, then there will be liquidation of the company, and whatever can be money can be can be got by selling of those assets, so that will be tried out initially. So the first thing is IBC is applicable for companies and limited liability partnerships, but cannot be used in case of individuals. The second statement is talking about process has to be completed within 90 days in case of companies, but it can be extended for 30 days, extended by 30 days if majority of the creditors agree. Third statement is corporate insolvency resolution process can only be initiated if the minimum amount of default is ₹1 crore. Only then the entire process can be initiated. And the fourth statement is talking about the appellate authority. Appellate means the authority to whom appeals against decisions will go. Okay? So is it the National Company Law Appellate Tribunal? That is the fourth statement. So let us see. Now, one by one, let us see. First statement: IBC is applicable for companies and LLP but cannot be used in case of individuals. That is incorrect. Okay. Why is that incorrect? Let's see. See, the provisions of IBC 2016 are applicable to individuals, unlimited partnership firms, limited liability partnerships, and to companies. So, individuals are uh, coming within the provisions of the IBC 2016. Okay? So, the provisions of the IBC 2016, they are applicable to individuals, unlimited partnership firms, limited liability partnerships, and also to companies. So, as you can understand from the first statement, the first statement is incorrect. So wherever there is one, you can eliminate that. So automatically, if you eliminate one, you will arrive at the right answer. But still, for understanding purpose, let us look at the other statements as well. Process has to be completed within 90 days in case of companies, but it can be extended by 30 days if majority of the creditors agree. Now that is incorrect, because if you see, I think I have mentioned over here, see the process of this entire code, it can be initiated by either the debtor or the creditor. And for companies, this process has to be completed in 180 days, can be extended by 90 days if majority of the creditors agree. That is in case of big companies. Whereas when we have smaller companies like startups, whose capital is or whose asset is less than 1 crore, under such circumstances, this entire process will be given 90 days. And in case if it requires extension, then max to max 45 days of extension will be given. So just remember, for big companies you have 180 days plus 90, and in case of small companies and startups having less than 1 crore of assets, in that case we will be having, or they will be having, a timeline of 90 plus 45 days if necessary. Achha. So the second statement is incorrect. The third statement: corporate insolvency resolution process can only be initiated if the minimum amount of default is rupees 1 crore. That is incorrect, because it is rupees 1 lakh. So let's see, corporate insolvency resolution process, it can be initiated when the minimum amount of default is rupees 1 lakh or higher amount as may be notified by the central government, but it should not exceed rupees 1 crore. Okay. So this is incorrect. And the last one is NCLAT, National Company Law Appellate Tribunal, is the appellate authority. That is correct. So appeals will go to this particular tribunal. Then what lies below this? Under this, who is the adjudicating authority? If you look at the adjudicating authority, it is NCLT, National Company Law Tribunal. National Company Law Tribunal will give some decision regarding the company, okay, what has to be done regarding the company, whether just by replacing the board of directors and all, whether the company can be revived. Whatever might be the decision of NCLT, if the original promoter of the company does not agree to that decision, then the appeal against that decision can be made to this particular authority called as National Company Law Appellate Tribunal. Okay, so the fourth statement is actually correct. So as we can see from the given statements, only one statement is correct, and that is statement number 4. So answer is A. Moving to the third question. In the third question, we get to see a question has been asked regarding Motihari Amlekganj oil pipeline. Okay. So this was also in the news, Motihari Amlekganj oil pipeline, and the statements are: first statement, it connects Motihari in Bihar to Amlekganj in Bangladesh, and it has been constructed by India. This is the first statement. Second statement is the first transnational petroleum pipeline from India. Third statement is it is the first South Asian oil pipeline corridor. And fourth statement, it is the first oil pipeline in Nepal. So these are the 4 statements. Now again, the problem lies here, okay, it becomes difficult to eliminate the options. If you know, then only you can answer. If you are not aware of it, then it becomes difficult to eliminate these options and go by the elimination method. So you might be aware about Motihari, so you might be able to get that correct. Motihari is in Bihar. But what about Amlekganj, and especially when it comes to Motihari Amlekganj oil pipeline? So if you are aware, then only you can answer. If you are not aware, then you will keep on guessing whether Amlekganj is in Bangladesh, and how did Nepal come into the picture? All these confusions will arise in your mind and you might arrive at a wrong answer. So in such cases, again, best option would be to skip if you're not aware. So the first statement, Motihari in Bihar to Amlekganj in Bangladesh, is actually incorrect because Amlekganj, this area, is in Nepal. So the first statement is incorrect, right? And if the first statement is incorrect, then automatically option A and B gets eliminated. But anyway, let us see the second statement also. It is the first transnational petroleum pipeline from India. That is actually correct. So again, your homework will be to look at the various transnational oil pipelines which has been planned by India. So transnational mean it will run across borders, across Indian border. So the second statement is correct. First statement is incorrect. The third statement is the first South Asian oil pipeline corridor. That is also correct. The fourth statement, it is the first oil pipeline in Nepal. That is also correct. So 2, 3 and 4 are correct. First is incorrect. Let us see 2, 3 and 4. Yes, we have it at C. So answer is C. Amlekganj is in Nepal, and these are some a bit more information regarding Amlekganj that we get to see. It is 69 kilometers long, this particular pipeline. It has a capacity of 2 million metric ton per annum, which will provide cleaner petroleum products at affordable cost. After this particular pipeline was built by India, the Nepalese Prime Minister, he promised to reduce the price of petroleum by ₹2. Okay, because now more amount of petroleum will be flowing into Nepal. And another very interesting thing was it was planned for around 30 months. Okay, 30 months time was given for its completion, but it was completed, I think, within 15 months itself. So it was completed much ahead of its scheduled deadline. So that is something which is a little unusual, but it happened this way. And who were behind it? It was built by Indian Oil Corporation Limited, IOCL, in collaboration with Nepal Oil Corporation Limited. Okay, Indian Oil Corporation Limited, they built it in collaboration with Nepal Oil Corporation Limited. So this is regarding Motihari Amlekganj. If you need more information, you can go to this PIB link. So over here you'll get to see regarding the Motihari Amlekganj oil pipeline. Achha. Now moving on to question number 4. Consider the following statements with regards to Bay of Bengal initiative for multi-sectoral, technical and economic cooperation and select the correct option. So we have BIMSTEC. What is the full form for BIMSTEC? Bay of Bengal initiative for multi-sectoral, technical and economic cooperation. And you have been asked to choose the right answer from the given statements. Let's see. First is, it is a regional grouping of 8 members, and who are there? We have Bangladesh, India, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Thailand, Bhutan, Nepal and China. So we'll think about it. You also think about it. Second statement is, its secretariat is present in Kathmandu. Third statement, the founding members of BIMSTEC are Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka, Thailand. Fourth statement, BIMSTEC leaders were invited for PM Modi's swearing in ceremony. That is in the last year when he won the election. So during that time, BIMSTEC leaders were invited for the swearing in. Now let us go one by one, and we have the options. Okay. Now the thing is, when it comes to such kind of international organizations, multilateral international organizations, in such case, the naming of the organization is usually based on the members. Not always, but sometimes you get to see the initial letter of the member countries, they will be taken to form the name of the international organization. I'll give you one name or one such organization, for example, BRICS. Okay, so BRICS is an organization whereby we get to see the initial letter of the member countries, they were taken to form the name of the organization. But again, it is not always the case. But again, if somebody is not aware, okay, who are the members? You see, BIMSTEC, B, you can this B you might feel it belongs to Bangladesh. Fine enough. I to India. M for Myanmar, S for Sri Lanka, T for Thailand, and then you have C also. So let's say in the first statement, if you see, I have intentionally put in China because an aspirant who is not aware will get confused over here and might feel that the first statement is correct because that C has to come in from some country, no? So maybe China is the country from which that letter C has been taken. But in reality, that is incorrect. China is not a part of BIMSTEC. Okay? So there are 7 members of BIMSTEC, and the 7 members are, again, try to understand from the name, Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation. So if we are saying it is a Bay of Bengal initiative, means ideally it should consist of only those countries which border the Bay of Bengal, and China, it does not have, or it does not open out to the Bay of Bengal. On the other hand, if you look at the other countries, not all but most of them do. So it is a regional grouping of 7 members, and China is not one among them. So you can leave out China. First statement is incorrect. Second statement, its secretariat is present in Kathmandu. Again, it is very factual. The correct answer is its secretariat is present in Dhaka and not Kathmandu. So second statement is also incorrect. Third statement, the founding members of BIMSTEC are Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka and Thailand. Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka, Thailand. That is correct. Please remember the founding members. It is very, very important that you do. Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka and Thailand, they were the founding members of BIMSTEC. And the fourth statement is also correct. BIMSTEC leaders, they were invited for Prime Minister Modi's swearing in ceremony. So actually the first statement, the second statement are incorrect. The third and the fourth statements are correct. So wherever you have 3 and 4, you can mark that as correct. So we get to see option D is the right answer. So here I have given you the some information regarding BIMSTEC. Of course, you have to study a little bit more in details, but this is so far as this particular question is concerned. But BIMSTEC as an organization is an important topic for this year's prelims. Achha, let's move to the last question for today. Question number 5. Consider the following statements with regards to the Sashastra Seema Bal and select the correct option. Sashastra Seema Bal, and we have to select the correct answer with regards to Sashastra Seema Bal. Let's see. First statement. It was established in 1963 after the Chinese attack in 1962. So you might be aware that we had something called as Indo-Chinese War, okay, or Sino-Indian War. So it took place in 1962, whereby India had China had actually pushed India to a very bad position. So China was able to almost overrun a large part of the country, especially the border area. All these Arunachal Pradesh and all these areas, they were overrun by China. So the first statement, it was established in 1963 after the Chinese attack in 1962. The Chinese attack, it happened in 1962. There's no doubt about it. But the question lies whether you are whether it is actually correct whether it was established in 1963 or not. So we'll discuss that in a while. Let us look at the second statement. It is part of the Central Armed Police Force, also sometimes referred to as CAPF, along with 6 other security forces. This is the second statement. Third statement, it comes under the Ministry of Home Affairs. So we have an armed police force, and it is saying this particular force, it comes under the Ministry of Home Affairs. And the fourth statement is deployed along the Indo-Nepal and Indo-Bhutan borders. Okay, so these are the 4 statements that we have. So let us try to understand. Okay, first statement, it was established in 1963 after the Chinese attack in 1962. Is that correct? Yes, it is. Actually, it was after the Chinese attack of 1962 that India realized that there should be some specialized forces to guard its borders. It's not like army will be doing every single work. Like if there's a disaster, then also you call the army, and if there is a war, then also you call the army. There should be some specialized force for guarding the borders of India, and hence we get to see this particular force was raised in 1963, Sashastra Seema Bal. So the first statement is correct. Second statement, it is part of the CAPF along with 6 other security forces. So if any of you have appeared or are, or if you're planning to appear for CAPF exam, if you go through the notification, then you will get to see that the second statement is actually correct, that SSB is a part of CAPF, and apart from SSB you have other central security forces also, about which we'll study later on. But the second statement is correct. Third statement, it comes under the Ministry of Home Affairs. Now here you see an inexperienced candidate will get this particular part wrong. Why? Because you might feel that because it is related to the defense of the country, so ideally it should come under the Ministry of Defense. But in reality, when it is talking about armed police force, so wherever the police is involved, mostly you will find it coming under the Home Affairs. Okay? So the third statement, it comes from the Ministry of Home Affairs, that is correct. The fourth statement is deployed along the Indo-Nepal and Indo-Bhutan borders, that is also correct. In fact, people who clear CAPF, many of them prefer this particular security force because it is present along the borders of our friendly neighbors, right? So Indo-Nepal, Indo-Bhutan borders, and there is less amount of tension in this particular job because we share friendly relations with Nepal and Bhutan as well. So all the four statements given are correct, so answer should be 5A. Let's see. Yes, 5A is the right answer. And along with SSB, along with the Sashastra Seema Bal, the other central security forces which come under CAPF are Assam Rifles, BSF, Border Security Force, CISF. You'll find CISF personnels especially in the airports, plus during election duties also you'll find CISF. So Assam Rifles, BSF, Border Security Force. So BSF is responsible for guarding our border with Bangladesh and with Pakistan. Okay. We'll have CISF is there. CRPF, the Central Reserve Police Force, is also there. So CRPF will be undertaking operations against Maoists, you will find. Similarly, Indo-Tibetan Border Police is also there, ITBP, who is mainly trained for guarding mountainous terrain. And we have a very specialist agency called as NSG, sometimes also referred to as the Black Cats. The National Security Guard, again National Security Guard, if you have appeared for the CAPF exam, you will know you cannot directly go into NSG, you will be selected. So some outstanding members from the army are selected, also from the other forces they are selected for NSG commando training. Okay? And then of course you have the SSB, which guards our border with Nepal and Bhutan. So these are the central security forces which come under CAPF, Central Armed Police Force. Okay, so today we have discussed all these 5 questions, and I hope you have learned new things over here. So we'll keep our discussion session till here. So in our next lecture, we'll come back with 5 new topics. So till then, study hard and stay safe. Thank you so much.